hello, whoever we have out there in Twitch land. Also, thank you for the follow, May Maisie. Followed this morning. I don't know if you're with us at the moment, May Maisie, but welcome. Hey, Billy. It is you. Actually, let's turn this light on. I guess I don't really need that light. In fact, it looks like it's better without it. This request comes from C. C hasn't been on the stream in a while, actually, or if she has, she hasn't been vocal about it. But in a comment on one of my posts in the last couple weeks, she requested something from DOTA. I know nothing about DOTA. How about you, Billy? Do you know anything about DOTA? I know it's a video game. I think there's an anime series on Netflix. And if it's the one I'm thinking of, I've heard good things about it. But hey, Slayton, Rob. How you doing? It's similar game to a MOBA game. Similar game to what? But anyway, yeah, we're gonna do Dota. Most specifically, oh. I understand. I thought you were laughing out loud. Most specifically, I'm gonna draw the Enchantress, who is a centaur. Wasn't sure who I wanted to draw from it because I knew so little. As soon as I stumbled on a centaur, I was like, sold. Last year, or whenever it was, when I was doing my Greek gods and goddesses, I really regretted not making Athena, or was it Artemis? I guess it was Artemis. A centaur. I had the idea after, and I was like, oh, because I was doing these reimaginings, and I kind of, both Athena and Artemis just felt so much like the classic interpretations that I felt like I kind of like cheated myself out of something more interesting there. Oh, I just realized I don't have my, well, you know what? The lighting looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave it alone. But I forgot to turn my ring light on. So this is this is not Artemis or Athena, but it'll be a little bit of a redemption. So let's go. Let's draw. The hardest part about doing a character like a centaur, well, okay, I guess I say this fairly often, right? About like how big to draw something, make it fit in the frame, and all that kind of stuff. But the centaur is like got this whole other thing going on because their body shape is so weird. They're like half horse, right? Or in the case of the Enchantress, I think it's supposed to be half deer. She looks a little bit more deer-like to me. Okay. Am I right that League was also built off that? Is that why you say it the same, or? I guess it would naturally be the similar, but so could something not built off that, I guess, if they're targeting the same vibe. Okay, you know what? I can totally draw her bigger, and that's what I'm gonna do. Let's take more advantage of the space we have to play with here. And how's 3D going, Rob? You know, talking to Doug at all? Okay. And have you played Dota much or at all, Billy, or you're just familiar with it? Because you tend to know your shit when it comes to the games. Plus, you're very quick on the Google. Okay. By the way, the playlist theme tonight is supposed to be fantasy, but this track comes on no matter what we pick. So who knows what we're in for tonight? Gotcha, gotcha. Well, it's like a battle royale kind of deal, isn't it? No? Alright then. This is how we learn. Trying to decide if I want to stick with this really stoic pose that I got going here, or if I want to like mix it up a bit more. I think I'm gonna stick with the stoicness. The thing is, like, when I'm doing these fan art, sometimes I kind of really want to like kind of do my own take on the design or whatever, or even just moving around the proportions, like whatever it might be, right? Some way to put my own stamp on it. But sometimes when I'm doing like an extreme action pose, I feel like it forces me to draw the character smaller and stuff, and I can't necessarily play with it as much as I maybe would like to. Also, I have two pictures of this character off to the side here for reference. In both of them, she's holding the spear thing in her left hand. Or in her right hand, rather. Or no, her left hand. Getting who's and who's mixed up. So I don't know if that's a deliberate thing, that she's supposed to be specifically left-handed, but I'm doing it here just for the sake of composition. Okay. Oh, actually, right. Okay. Yeah, because I actually watched some game footage. I just remembered, yeah. And that makes sense because of the WoW thing. But I thought League was more battle royale like. It was more like actual fighting. But am I wrong about that? All right, I believe you. By the way, here's a fun little tidbit about how my last couple days have been. So on the stream last week, on Thursday, I guess it was, we're talking about how I wasn't going to do Mermaid this year, but I was going to do something different, and I was being all coy about it. And the only clue I would give was that, well, it's International Women's Month. I completely had International Women's Month wrong. I had this plan for what I was going to do, and I've had this plan for like the past year, pretty much since last May. Was waiting. I was going to wait till I finished Chapter 5 of the new volume of Combat Fairs. I was going to like, wait till I was at the halfway mark. And then I was going to start doing these just to be ahead of it so I don't have to do it every day or whatever. Because it's kind of hard to fit that in the schedule sometimes. And then on Sunday morning, it just happened to come up on a YouTube video that I was listening to in the background while I was working on something else. And they mentioned that March was Women's Month, and I was like, wait, what? And then I looked it up, and then I was like, oh, fuck. And I didn't want to not do this idea, but I also didn't want to not do it in Women's Month, because it just seemed like it would be kind of weird. Well, not that you can't, obviously, honor people outside of their recognized month or whatever, but I thought it'd be more meaningful to do it now. So I was like, fuck, and mad panic. So I have almost all 31 of them completely finished now, but it's been every second of free time since I had that revelation on Sunday. On Sunday night, I sketched out 31 portraits of different women in history, and then last night, after 3 classes, I inked 16 of them. Yes, Junesup, DOTA it is. As soon as I get my pencil working again. I don't know what's up with it here. Oh, wait, there we go. The Enchantress, specifically. Rob came in really early on, but he hasn't said anything else since. So you can prod him if you want to. Is he a DOTA fan or is he not a DOTA fan? What is gonna give him ammunition for a field day? Are we for or against DOTA? Okay. How are you doing, Junesup? Alright. Cool. And where do you cook, Junesup? Okay. I mean, I don't know where your home is, so that doesn't really help me with. But I'm also not going to pry to get you to reveal that information live on the internet. So my biggest thing is playing with the proportions here for our Enchantress. I noticed that she's kind of cartooning her up a bit more. She looks like she's pretty built, so I'm kind of emphasizing that a little bit. But I'm gonna toss in some extra jewelry and knickknacks and stuff like that as well. Do what's everybody up to as they take in tonight's drawing sesh? Anything new and exciting with anybody? Let's dish. Give me the hot gossip. I don't have the energy just come up with random stories tonight. Okay. What job, Billy? If you care to share. If not, no worries. Ooh, cool. Sorry to hear about your finger. And good luck with the job. I think that'd be a pretty cool gig. Agents Up. Is Rob's fandom for Dota for the game or for the anime or both? Because I just remembered he was super into Castlevania as well, but I think that was primarily the anime that he was into. Okay. How'd you cut your finger, Billy? Speaking of Castlevania, I noticed, I'm forgetting his name, Ari Shakur or something like that. The guy that produced the Castlevania show has got a new thing coming. I can't even tell if it's a movie or if it's a show, but it looks trippy and weird as shit with like some live action and like a bunch of different styles of animation and stuff. It looks super cool. Called the League of the Crusaders or something like that. Fuck, I forget. Or the Guardians of Justice. I think that's what it's called. And at first I thought it was going to be almost like a mockumentary about like the death of a superhero as if it happened in real life, and then it turned into some other weird trippy shit. Um, and now I don't know. And if it's not a mockumentary, it makes me kind of want to do that idea myself because it could actually be really cool. But that might be exactly what this is, just with differing styles. I'm not really sure. Um, but color me intrigued on that one. Ooh, that sucks. When I took the bartending course years ago, that was one of the things he said about how you see in the movies, and I'm sure in real life people do this all the time too. Like they'll take the glass and they'll scoop the ice with it, and they're telling us about how dangerous that actually is because the glass can break so easily, and you just rip your hand right open when you do it. And I think he had a story about having done it, or I think he himself did that to himself actually, the teacher, if I'm remembering right. So he was warning us from experience. He also had a story about when you can open a bottle of champagne with a sword or a really sharp knife if you want to. And the trick is you hold the bottle of champagne and there's always a seam in the glass, and you take the blade and you run it along the seam, and then just like smack against the ridge of the glass near the end. It'll cause just enough of a crack that the pressure will actually pop it off and like break the glass like a smooth, clean cut right at the ridge there. Which is kind of just this bartender party trick kind of deal, I guess. I've never tried it and probably never will. um, uh, and a friend of his apparently was drunk at a New Year's Eve party and was trying to impress a girl, and did that, but had his thumb in the wrong spot and actually cut his thumb off. And to get rushed to the hospital. I think they reattached it. I think he said, but yeah. Bleeding too much for bandies to stop it. It almost feels like it should have been a hospital visit. still sore, or is it pretty much? I mean, obviously it wouldn't be completely healed yet, but we are almost already ready to start inking this thing, guys. Hey, Chantel. Okay. There's music. Can't you hear it? Oh, what the fuck? Oh no, she's really quiet. I can turn it up a bit if you want, but I think the next track will be louder. What's the music been like up till this point, guys? Have you been able to hear it? Yeah, this particular track that's on right now isn't super loud, so I think you'll hear it better whenever the next one kicks in. Okay. Are you a Dota fan at all, Chantel? Alright, I think we can start inking this. Not quite, just something very soft spoken or soft sung, I guess you would say. What, Dota? Yes, well, it's a video game and but there's an anime version of it on Netflix, which I have not watched. This is a request, but I have heard good things. I think the new season just dropped. I think if I'm not mistaken, or is going to drop soon. I can't remember. Whether or not this particular character is actually in that anime, I have no idea because all my references are actually from the game here. I have no idea, Chantal. I've never watched it. Sounds like it could be a thing, though. Speaking of cutting your hand, Billy, I don't know if I've told this story on here before or not. I feel like I was telling somebody about this recently, so maybe I even mentioned it at Fan Expo last weekend, Billy. But a friend of mine a few years ago cut his hand while cutting a bagel, and bled so much he actually passed out. um, and when I mentioned it, I told my mom about it, and she was like, she had apparently just recently heard how bagel cutting accidents are one of the most common uh, entries into the emergency room. Which just kind of blew my mind. Like, what, really? And then then we were at like some work function. I think it was maybe Dave Lee's retirement party or something. Um, I was telling that story, and like three or four other people, all had their own bagel injury stories. One person had two separate instances. She had cut herself twice while cutting bagels, and I thought that was pretty funny. I've heard about the avocados as well, because people like want to just hack into them, or because there's like a trick that you can do, right? But it's not easy necessarily. I actually know somebody that cut herself doing that too. I'm giving her heavy lashes and a touch of eyeshadow, but no pupils. This is my decree. I did, and DiMaggio just agreed to come back apparently. See, but the fact that you've even grazed yourself, though, Chantel, I think speaks to the issue with bagel cutting. I can only assume that the reason for this, like, as stupid as this sounds, I feel like it's got to be a thing, right? Where people are sticking their finger in the hole to hold it. Like, if that many people are getting bagel cutting incidents, I feel like that's got to be part of the reason, right? Like, at least some of them have to be related to that. So I like how formal your response to that was, Chantel. Nay, nay. I just realized I drew this one ear a lot lower than the other, which should be a little bit lower, I guess, but I don't know if I might have gone a little too far with it. That also means that this your hair piece is going a little bit too low, but I feel like that could be. I don't mind asymmetry though; it makes things look cooler. It's just when it screws up with a person's anatomy that I gotta be careful. So if I fix the ear, I think I'm okay with the hang. Ah. I would have embraced the nay. I would have pretended I did it on purpose. But I appreciate your honesty, Chantal. Cool. They do it with all of us. It's cool. About Camp Cretaceous, I still need to watch the first 3 seasons. It is on my list though. I do want to watch it. I just haven't gotten there yet. Especially with your glowing recommendations for it, Billy. Huh. Fancy that. So Billy, I know you were already a fan. Did the new movie coming out, is that what prompted you to watch it, Chantel? I'm pretty excited for the new one. I really wasn't into Dominion at all. But the new one looks like it could be a lot of fun. And just the nostalgia of seeing everybody back is pretty cool also. Cliffhanger at the end of Dominion, or are you talking about Crustaceous? Crustacean. Cretaceous. Whatever the fuck. Because the ending of Dominion kind of was a cliffhanger. Okay. Of season 1 that Chantel's on, or of season 4 that you just watched yourself? Okay. The Wolverton. Or Wolventon. I was probably autocorrect again, but I like the idea of Chantel being the Wolventon. Okay. Oh, I missed that earlier comment there. Um, Chantel, so how is that He-Man? Have you watched Revelation yet? I haven't watched part 2 of that yet. I like part 1 though. Gotcha. By the way, a show you guys might like. It's just an hour-long special on Netflix. But Attack of the Hollywood Cliches. Pretty funny. Hosted by Rob Lowe. Brooklyn's one of the characters, I'm assuming. like you guys bonding over Camp Cretaceous. I know the type, Chantal. I don't think they're anybody's favorite type, Chantal. friend. As in compelled to be responsible. Gotcha, gotcha. I've found myself in that role on multiple occasions as well, actually. In party atmospheres and stuff like that, I definitely like, as long as I don't have to drive or anything, I definitely like to cut loose and stuff. But I feel like I have with some notable exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely been some very notable exceptions to this, but I find like I usually tend to kind of hold my own better than a lot, and I have a tendency to kind of cut myself off before I get too insane. And so I kind of begrudgingly will end up being the one that is looking out for the friends that have clearly drank way too much or getting way too crazy or something. Not that that happens too often, especially in the last couple of years thanks to COVID and whatnot, but I have found myself sometimes even feeling very drunk and still being the least drunk person at the party and thus being the responsible one. I feel like a lot of planning gets put on my shoulders too, whether I want it to be or not. That's a good trait to have. I'm not always the best at that particular one. A little bit more black into her outfit, just for the sake of some inky contrast. Yeah, and I really don't like being, I'm very indecisive often myself. Especially when other people are involved. I don't want to be the one that, pick the restaurant that nobody likes or whatever. But I have definitely been in a scenario where it's like, well, decisions aren't happening unless I do this. Also, interestingly, like, I was pretty introverted when I was in school. But a lot of times if I was in a group project, I would have to like bite the bullet and speak up, or nothing would get, like, I felt like I was the only one, like, as much as I didn't like taking on that role, I would often be the one that would have to, because nobody else would want to speak. I'm not sure what the deal with that was. check. So in that instance, then Chantel, they probably actually come to you, right? If you're just like, if that's your rank in the hierarchy, where you're the go-to, whether you want to be or not. I assume. Other than handing out school assignments, um, obviously, I haven't really had and group projects like we were just talking about when I was a student. Haven't had need to delegate work too often. Um, but that could change with any luck. I will. I will make another movie, and I will have a team to work with on that one day. And delegate I shall. It will be an adjustment though, because I'm definitely more used to working alone as well. makes it easier. Cracking the elbow again. Oh. Like shopping carts, or you mean like carts with like merch that's supposed to be put on the shelves and stuff? Gotcha, gotcha. By the way, I saw another movie trailer today called The Baby. It's coming to HBO Max, so I don't know, maybe Crave here. But it's about a psycho killer baby. How is that not immediately on my must-watch list? Tagline is every monster needs a mother. Color me sold. That is one of my biggest pet peeves about going to a grocery store or whatever. Is how many people just leave, like, they treat their shopping cart like it's a fucking garbage bin. And they just leave all that shit in there. And sometimes, like, it's so bad that the next cart available in every row will have something in it, so you have to just bite the bullet and clean one of them out yourself. I hate it. I hate it so much. Jesus. Jesus. See, and that's like what's terrible with that too is right. It's already just like really lazy and kind of just rude to just not put something back where you found it. But when you're putting like something like meat on a shelf that's not even refrigerated, it's not even that you're making a job like a hassle for somebody else that has to go put it away. Like you're literally just wasting food because it's gonna go bad. It can't be sold again. Who does this? There's so much evil in the world. That line is Simpsons when they go to like a prison rodeo and they're introducing some of the inmates that are competing or whatever, and he says, "This man got arrested for erecting a nativity scene on city property." And Marge says, "There's so much evil in the world." I read a thing one time that was explaining how the shopping cart, I can't remember the exact wording they were using, but that it basically like was the rubric for a good person or not, because a lot of people will put their shopping cart away when they're done, but a lot of people will just leave it in the parking lot, right? Because there's nothing actually policing them to put it away, and there's no repercussions if they don't. So whether or not they do is purely out of human decency. And I can proudly say that I always put my shopping cart away. Exactly. Yeah, the coin ones, there's that as well, because then they want to get their money back, so it's an added incentive. Um, but not all of them have that. Like Costco, I think Walmart here has that as well. But like Costco, I don't think typically does. Exactly. So if you choose to put it away, which you should, you're doing it just to be a good person for the next whoever comes along to use that cart next. Or not even use that cart, just goes to use that parking lot next. A lot of times people block parking stalls and stuff because of it too. One of these days, hopefully in the not too distant future, I'll do one of these streams and not feel exhausted. That'll be fun. That'll be sweet. I've had a run of particularly tired streams the last few weeks. Virtue once said, "I'm always tired." I always look tired, I think, but I'm not always tired. The last couple weeks, though, there's been a lot of tired. You had COVID, Chantal? Sorry to hear that. take it you're recovering fine? Friends of mine just recently had it. Went through the mom, the dad, and the 2 kids. Or 3 kids, sorry. Well, actually, I don't know if it ever did hit kid number 3. It just seemed like it was inevitable, but the last update, actually, he was holding out, but too young to fend for themselves, so, like, couldn't keep their distance in any way, really. Was it a hellish 2 weeks, though, Chantel? Thanks for the follow, Bobby Somber. Welcome to the stream. Are you a Dota fan? Is that what brought you here, Bobby? Keep holding her off the camera. Gotcha, gotcha. This time of year in the cold weather, I get like super dry skin, or not like my whole body, but like I get on my back a little bit and on my my shin area. I'm constantly scratching my shins. Worried I'm doing permanent damage down there. I don't know. But in a month or 2, it'll go back to totally normal, and then I'll forget it's a thing until next winter. For anybody new to the stream, we're comparing medical conditions, because that's always fun. Normally we talk about nerd shit, but that's not the vibe today. Don't be sorry, Chantel. I was doing the same thing. It was because of me saying it that made me make that comment. By the way, that drawing of Nellie Bly that I posted earlier, if you guys saw that and all the other daily drawings I'll be posting this month. drawn entirely digitally with my my new display tablet. I've been using it primarily just for coloring stuff so far, but I used it for a fan art thing I did for a YouTube channel that I watch a lot. That was the only other like line work thing I had done so far with it. So I do like it doing it that way. I still prefer paper, but still enjoying it. But like, I can definitely appreciate the efficiency of it, right? And and I can go a lot faster with the inks because I'm not afraid to like have to undo or whatever. But what is a bit frustrating, and I don't know if it's the tablet, if it's Photoshop or my computer or what, but like it would like freeze up pretty often. Like sometimes I just have to stop and like give it a few minutes before it would like let me kind of freely draw, and that was frustrating. If it wasn't for that, I think that counteracted whatever efficiency it had. But whatever. Learning experience and such. Other thing though too is, as you guys know from watching me here, I flip my page around quite a bit. So I do that in Photoshop as well when I'm actually doing the line work. I flip around rotate the canvas a lot, and I think that might have been pissing Photoshop off the amount that I was doing it. Like I think it just was throwing its equilibrium off or some shit. Ink, 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 ink. Hey, Mark. You've missed so much, Mark. So much. You guys realize, here's the problem. Camera's out of whack, so I keep pushing it off the frame so freaking much. We're drawing the Enchantress from DOTA, which none of us currently on the stream seem to know a whole hell of a lot about. Have you watched or played DOTA yourself, Mark? This was a request from C on Instagram, who hasn't been in the chat much recently, but she used to be pretty regular for a while. I forget what her screen handle was on Twitch, actually. Offhand, but I think I would know if I saw it. I've heard of it, but that's pretty much it. The request didn't include a character, it just said something from Dota, and I looked up Dota characters, found the Centaur, and thought, well, she's pretty freaking badass, so we're gonna do the Centaur. Yeah, it's, I mean, not technically an anime. I don't think anyway, because I'm pretty sure it's an American production, the animated show on Netflix, but very anime inspired, kind of like Castlevania. But it's a video game, first and foremost. Although I think it might be the anime in particular that had C's attention, because she mentioned the new season coming, I think. I've heard a lot of people argue that, actually, though, Billy. A lot will argue that it's not really anime unless it's from Japan, and otherwise it's just anime influenced. I don't have a strong opinion on it myself, but I've been corrected on that multiple times, which is why I've come to clarify more times than not. Do you mean in that it's often outsourced to like Korea or wherever? I know Korea does a lot of outsourced animation there. Because even if that's what you're referring to, then true. But like, it's still like the design work, the layouts, and everything like that are typically being done in Japan. Kink, kink, kink. All right, let's bust out the ruler. Let's take this part seriously. Actually, wait. Before we do that, let's do our hand first here. Black fingernails, because why not? Really, that doesn't sound. I mean, I'm basing this on my experience with North American animation, of course. Take it with a grain of salt, but usually the layouts and stuff, the initial designs and stuff are done in-house, and it's just the animation itself that gets outsourced. Backgrounds might be drawn elsewhere, but based on the storyboards and stuff that are, and the designs that are done there. But again, I'm basing this on North American production pipeline. But if it's a Japanese production, though, I think that's where it comes down to, right? It's like a lot of TV shows are filmed in Vancouver with with almost entirely Canadian crews, and even a lot of special effects are done here and stuff as well. But it's still considered an American show because that's where the money's coming from, right? Well, I'll take your word for it, Billy. I don't feel qualified to have a strong opinion on it, since anime has always been one of my big blind spots, but I'm not imbued in that culture too much. I think next year I'm gonna attempt to get a table at Anime Revolution, by the way. And I was very hesitant because um, you know, my stuff isn't really anime. Um, although I have had people say that they see anime or manga influence in my stuff, which is definitely not deliberate. Maybe by association, because maybe I was inspired by something else that was inspired by manga or whatever. Um, but I've been assured on multiple occasions that there's actually a lot of non-anime stuff at that con. And I could also see combat fairies having some overlap with anime and manga fandom. But I think it's a more expensive table, and I think I'm too late for this year. Most of the cons this year I'm too late for because they're still honoring their guest list from the canceled cons last year. Me neither. I know somebody, a VFS grad, Caddy, she did Foundation and the writing program, that I don't know if she still does or not, but she was working for Annie Revo for a long time, and she would always be at Fan Expo promoting it, and it was always bugging me to go. But yeah, a lot has changed though, since thanks to COVID. Much time has passed. Cons weren't happening. Yeah, I might try that for next year. I might brave it. It sounds so much like Bram Stoker's Dracula, this music. All the cosplayers outside. I think I've heard that it's nuts. I think is what I've heard, actually. Snapping my elbow. I think we've had a conversation about this track. This music reminds us of something, and I don't remember what we settled on. Definitely makes me think of like a Disney sports movie or something. It's like that quiet moment right before the team wins, when they finally learn to work together. Or maybe it's the moment after the team loses, but they realize that they actually won in their hearts. Alright, spot black time. The Legend of Fox Machine? I don't think I have. That sounds about right, Chantal. Oh, Vox. Well, still don't. Is it an anime? Okay. So wait, you weren't wearing your glasses. Is that why it looks like my style? Like, were you wearing your glasses when you came to this conclusion? Yeah, it's a podcast or YouTube show, isn't it, Billy? Okay, gotcha. um, I think my art style has been most influenced by Bruce Timm, Chuck Jones, and Todd McFarlane. And there's definitely other artists that have kind of stirred, have kind of snuck some influence in over the years as well. But I think those are the three most prominent. Um, I think that's what I was most into during my most formative years growing up. Bruce Timm is the lead designer for Batman the Animated Series. Uh, Chuck Jones, of course, famous Looney Tunes director, created Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, among others. And Todd McFarlane, of course, creator of Spawn and drew Spider-Man for a lot of years. I kind of think that it's Todd and Bruce that you see the most when I'm doing the more kind of comic booky stuff. But when I go a bit more cartoony, you'll see the Chuck kind of seep into it a little bit. I don't think the Bruce Timm really goes away, but the Todd levels go down a bit and the Chuck levels come up. But Chuck was also known for his facial expressions, and I think I'm channeling, no matter what level of detail I'm going with, I think I'm channeling a bit of Chuck whenever I'm doing facial expressions. Or at least attempting to. When you asked about Critical Role, isn't Critical Role like a YouTube show or a podcast? I've never watched it, but I've heard it like referenced. catch myself doing this like weird boom Russian accent thing sometimes when I'm inking. I don't know why. Oh, okay. So does that mean that, like, is it based on like their D&D campaign that they play on the show then? Itchy ear. With my drawing? Well, I mean, I'm not like deliberately being like, I'm gonna do this in this style, but I was just saying how like Chuck, Bruce, and Todd, I think have had the biggest influence on my style. So I think that hodgepodge is a large part of what created the way I draw things. I do a lot of straight lines, kind of angular lines a lot of times, which is very much a Bruce Timm thing. A lot of my hatching and my little ticks and things like that, that's very much a Todd McFarlane thing. I think Chuck Jones comes across a lot in my posing and stuff too, just like animation in general, you know. Posing is such a huge part of any type of animation, like making it look good, that I'm like very conscientious of silhouette, and I'm like always really trying to push the poses and stuff, and like that's true of comic book art and just drawing in general, but I think it's kind of drilled into you more when you're learning to be an animator than just in illustration in general. Sounds good, Mark. Thanks for coming by. Oh, the Russian accent? I don't think so. I don't know where that came from. I caught myself doing that like a few months ago I was inking a page, not on the stream, just on my own, and I just every time I kind of finished like, I just go like boom, boom. There was a girl in Foundation who was Russian, and she did that sometimes, and I think that's where I got it from. Except that she graduated years ago, and I haven't seen her since, or talked to her since. And I just randomly started doing it one day, so I don't know if it just took that long for it to sink in or what, but that's my best guess. I don't know. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Maybe. Why I started thinking of the Inspector Gadget theme song. Maybe that's another memory tick, I don't know. But that came out of nowhere. The music stop? Are we done with the music? I always hate when like we're almost done the drawing and that's when the music stops, and then I gotta go deal with it just for the sake of like the last like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, what the hell is up with that? You know? You know? I don't know, I'm so close, I don't even know if I care. Give me a keyword, guys, and I will type that in for a new playlist to finish things off. First keyword I see. Nature. I guess that's thematically appropriate. Oh, fuck, I'm running over my headphone cable here. That can't possibly be good for it. Oh god. Alright, let's fix this. Let's see what nature brings us. That sounded deep. The first track is called Floating Home. And remember, everybody, if it sucks, it's Billy's fault. I'm getting kind of mariachi vibes from this, actually. Her fur, by the way, has very Bambi-esque patterns on it, but I don't think I could really do that justice just with a black and white ink drawing. That would have to be, I don't know if whether or not I'm going to color this one. If I do, then I'll be adding that then, but fairly happy with this. I'm going to add a bit of a shadow using the brush pen though, but So I was on the verge of finishing something that I've been struggling to finish all day, right before I had to go live. So I'm gonna do that when I finish this, and then I'm gonna pass out so hard, holy shit. I had a few things hit me all at once on the weekend. I was talking about it earlier. It's the Women's Month drawings that I'm doing. If you guys didn't notice, I posted a picture of Nellie Bly this morning, and my intent was to do all of them ahead of time, but I mistakenly thought that International Women's Month was May, because my plan was I knew I didn't want to do Mermaid again, so I was gonna do something different, and then I had this idea. And I'll tell you the genesis of the idea in a second. But I was thinking I had until May to pull it together, and so I realized I had to do that. But then I also have a freelance gig that I need to do, another drawing of my own I wanted to do and post. It's somewhat topical. And I got a thing for a friend I need to do, and I want to get onto Chapter 5 of Volume 2 as well. There we go. There's our shadow finished. Nellie Bly, if you didn't notice, she was a journalist in the 19th century. She is not Billy, but I might consider doing this again next year, and if I do, I'm actually going to take requests a couple months ahead of time. So stay tuned for that. Basically, Nellie is the one that inspired the whole thing. She was a journalist in the 19th century that faked a mental illness to get committed to an asylum so that she could report on all the mistreatment that the patients were having there. And I learned about her while I was doing research for Combat Fairies Volume 2, which gives you a little bit of a hint as to some of the themes maybe in Volume 2. And I thought that was a really cool story, and she also did a trip around the world in 72 days as part of a challenge to see if she could beat Phileas Fogg's record in Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. So I thought that was really cool, and then around that same time I also saw a meme about Hedy Lamarr and like an invention she did, and the information in that meme wasn't 100% accurate, but it did make me read a bit more about her, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I kind of started making this list of just all these women that were like either I'd never heard of and had some cool story behind them, or maybe were somebody famous but there was some other thing to their credit they weren't famous for. And so I wrote down a bunch of names that I already knew, and then every time I learned a new one over the past year, I would add it to the list. And then my list wasn't quite 31, so I just kind of Googled, unsung women in history or whatever, to kind of fill in the gaps. And then, yeah, so I drew them all. I just accidentally gave away who's going to be tomorrow, but I'm not going to repeat the name in case you missed it. But anyway, yeah, so Nellie's the one that inspired the whole thing, and maybe I'll do it again next year and I'll take requests. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I realized my mistake about what month it was at the end of or Sunday morning, but I had to finish something else, so I sketched out 31 portraits on Sunday night, and then I inked half of them last night, and I've been kind of finishing them up today, so I just have to add in like a background texture to them all, which is a pretty quick thing, and then I'm going to schedule them all to go live. So that has been my day today, and it's been pretty much non-stop work. Yesterday I had 3 classes, and then I started inking it and stuff. Foolishly thought I maybe could finish them all last night. Was way off the mark with that one, but whatever. So yeah, so looking forward to getting that done so I can move on to other things and stuff. Like, it's kind of like a fun project, but because of the circumstances I had to rush through it so much that I kind of sucked the fun out of it a bit, but whatever. But anyway, guys, I'll be back on Thursday for another original one, but it's an original one that was kind of conceived on the stream a couple weeks ago, so maybe you maybe you'll remember that and you already know what it is. If not, you'll have to wait and see. So maybe I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night, and see you next time.